Hello, my name is Maddie, and for my shared practice this week I am going to be painting. I like to paint because it really helps ground me, and it's one of my biggest stress relievers. I like to paint and draw. I feel like it helps me with my stress if I'm ever stressed out with school or with work. I usually find time to myself so that I can paint and just kind of relax. I always paint with either music on or a TV show. I do paint in my room. I have a very big family, and so it can be hard to find peace and quiet if I'm painting at like the dining room table or something like that. So I like to paint in my room so that I have some peace and quiet with either music or a TV show. So I always lay down a tarp in my room so I don't get any paint on it. I have a bunch of paints right here, and then a bunch of my paintbrushes, and then I just use like a plastic plate to use as like my paint holders, and then just a cup of water, and then obviously my canvas. So normally sometimes I will just free-for-all paint and just kind of paint what I'm feeling, and sometimes that also does help me kind of pinpoint exactly how I'm feeling. Like if I'm stressed, I can really see it in my art, and I feel like after a while my art gets more creative because I'm using it as my outlet, so then my creativity comes out. I do have a cat, and that is what that background noise is. That is my extra hand in my artist work. So today I think I have a little inspiration picture, but I think I'm mainly just gonna go off of what I'm feeling. So with all of my paints, I'm gonna start off, I just kind of start off by putting all of the colors that I think that I'm gonna need in here. And I don't always put a lot just because I don't want them, they are acrylic, and so I don't want them to dry out on the plate before I can even use them. So I'll just put like a little bit of each color that I want. So I'm using purple, pink, some red, and then probably some orange. Oh, this isn't open, I haven't used this color yet. There we go. Some orange, probably should shape that, and then some yellow. And then if I need more colors or I want to add more colors, I'll just do that when I need them. So sometimes I do use a pencil and I'll kind of sketch out what I want to happen, but sometimes just starting with the base, I'll just kind of go in and kind of see what I'm feeling. When I'm painting, I really do just kind of mainly just focus on like what I'm doing and like the painting wise, and it kind of silences out other stressors from my head. And I feel like focusing mainly on just painting helps me relieve some stress and like the outside noise in my head. And I think I definitely had to learn kind of the mindfulness, because I know when I first started painting, I would get really frustrated if the painting wasn't looking how I wanted it to look. And so I think I definitely had to learn kind of not to make any judgment or think that it's terrible until I finish it, and know that like I can always go back and fix it. And so that really helped kind of add to my peacefulness in painting. It really helped kind of focus more on the painting and slowing my mind down rather than focusing on the imperfections of the painting itself. Now, I've definitely painted some things that I don't like and that I throw away, but I think throughout the process it's really like focusing on just kind of expressing yourself, and if you don't like how it looks, then paint over it and change it. Yeah. So I'm gonna finish my background, and then I will come back and show you that, and then where we go from there. Okay, I just finished the background of it, and I'll show you. This is just what it looks like. It looks like just a bunch of different splotches and colors right now, and that's okay because we are going to add more to the top of it. We just have to wait for it to dry, and this is kind of like one that you just really have to go with the flow and kind of just figure it out as you go. So yeah, we are going to let that dry, and then I will come back and we'll continue going. So I got a bunch of paint on my leg. My painting is almost dry. How I test it really is I just put my hand on top of it, and if I get any paint on my hands, which I did, some of it's old, but I did get a little bit of new paint on my hands. That's kind of just how I test it to see if it's actually dry. So it needs a couple more minutes, but I have put all the colors that I want for my top designs on a new plate, and I kind of just go through and I figure out exactly kind of what type of color I want. Like mix in colors if I want to make a color. Like I mixed a dark green and a light green, just so that I can get the specific type of color that I want. So it does need a couple more minutes, so I'll come back once it's ready. Okay, so my canvas is finally dry. Here is what it looks like so far. It's literally just a bunch of blobs. So I have all of my colors, right there. And so now it's kind of like whatever design that you want to put on top. It's really just paint whatever you're feeling. So So I just finished my painting, and something that I forgot to mention previously was while the background is drying, I tend to stay off of my phone and stay off of social media. I think it can be very distracting, and it's hard to get back into the mindset of kind of drawing or painting and peacefulness after you've already been distracted. So while this painting was drying, I finished this painting that I've been working on for a couple of weeks. But you could really do any other type of self-care, like reading, writing, journaling, drawing, anything like that, just to kind of stay in the flow of peacefulness. My cat is about to knock it over. Anyways, so this is the final result. It's very abstract. I would really recommend for anybody and everybody to try painting as a form of self-care or stress reliever at least once. I always say that everyone has some type of artistic ability, even if it is just painting random colors and shapes and spirals onto a canvas. It can be a really good way to kind of ground yourself and focus on one thing rather than the hundreds of things that are going on in your life. So yeah, I hope that everyone enjoyed my shared practice of self-care, and I hope you have a good rest of your week.